Ciara and I'm studying industrial design.
I'm Nicola and I'm studying human health and disease.
And I'm Olwyn and I'm also studying human health and disease.
And this is our project, Be Healthy, Be Yourself. Our idea for this project was to design a personalised medical cabinet. We noticed that many people today are taking supplements, but they're diagnosing themselves and deciding what they need, when in fact they might be taking the wrong sorts of vitamins and minerals. And also with their varying diet and lifestyles, one week they may need a vitamin C, whereas the next week they may need like vitamin D or something like that. So our product is based around the idea of a beehive, which is the personalised medical cabinet, and we want to use the bees as a diagnostic tool, so that they make a daily production of honey with your exact needs of nutrients. It's an indoor-outdoor system, so the hive entrance will be on the outdoors, so the bees will never be in the home. The mouthpiece and the breathalyzer will all be inside of the home. So the user will basically blow into a chamber, and the bee will pick up on the scent of different odours that the breath releases into the chamber. From here, the bees will then detect the smell and move on to flowers and begin looking for the nectar that matches the scent that they have picked up. Once they've collected the nectar, the bee will design personalised honey for the user, customised to their specific needs and nutrients and minerals.
Okay. I was behind the science of the product, so this is not completely impossible. There's a lot of research been done about bees. So people, when they're deficient in certain minerals, release different smells. So magnesium, you get a certain odor. If you're deficient in iron, there'll be a certain odor. And bees are easily trained. You can train them within 6 to 20 seconds, and they have an acute sense of smell. So you can train them using Pavlov's reflex, which is an award-punishment system. So you train the bees to smell your bread, and then they'll fly to the plants that are capable of carrying out phytoremediation, which means restoring balance. So phytoremediation basically enhances the natural ability of a plant to uptake specific substance from the soil. So the plant will have higher levels than the average plant. And this will have lots of benefits in that you won't have to take supplements, which, like if you take a supplement, you can get hypervitaminosis, and if you stop taking that supplement, then you might get hypovitaminosis. This will also be better in the long run cost-wise.
So I had a look at the market and where we would fit in. At the moment out there are products such as Manuka honey, which is a honey that also promises health benefits. There's also supplements, but I think we'd feel we'd have the edge on supplements because you can uptake vitamins and minerals much better from food than you can from pills. From pills, they're usually excreted, so they're just not useful. And then you also skip the whole doctor middleman because you're at home and you can take these vitamins when you need them, and that's obviously cutting down on costs. And there's a lot of money, there's a lot of interest in this area because with government and increasing awareness, people are much more interested and aware and keen to keep their health in good condition, so they actually prevent disease occurring rather than than actually looking for a cure. So you prevent disease and illness before it happens. Price-wise, what's out there at the moment? Well, a cost of a beehive. So if you get a colony of bees with a queen bee to run all that, that's about €70. Breathalyzer, so as to detect odors in the person's breath, is €60, and then to construct the beehive, that's about 50 euros. So,
thank you.
What's the time lag between being diagnosed by your bees and getting your personalised pot of honey with the necessary supplements?
Further research. We have to figure out how quick a bee can produce honey once it's gone to the plant. So that's something we need to further research.
Maybe go to the next few months. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So, do you train the bees individually, or can you train them en masse?
Well, bees are already being trained for, like they use them in airports to detect explosives.
Yeah, so you said, but have you actually gone to the process of actually looking at how these bees are trained? Because
no, that's
there's a lot of bees in a hive. There's like 50,000 bees in one hive.
I think the fact also that it doesn't take 6 seconds to train a bee. that
50,000 times 6 is still a long time.
hopefully though, if it is a reward system, basically how you train them is that you put the scent into the honey. So if there was like a larger table with honey and that scent, and you could get the bees attracted to that, they'll all pick up the same scent together.
Because we actually keep bees, and if you annoy them, it's non-trivial to move them around. The other question I have is, have you done any research into whether this would fit into the regime of supplements and therefore require no approvals?
How do you mean?
Like, if the honey that's produced is considered to just be a supplement, a dietary supplement, that it doesn't need to go through much of the FDA process, for instance.
Well, that's true. But there would also, we'd have to deal with, instead, there's a lot of ethics around beekeeping. Well, it's, they're...
Not so I've noticed.
Well, they're pretty strict about, looking after bees. So that probably would be an obstacle or something that we'd have to work toward, yeah.
I may already know the answer, but coming through the presentation, I found it a bit unclear what exactly is being genetically modified in this project. Where is the synthetic biology angle? Because if it currently stands that you could train a bee to go to a certain flower based on a certain smell, what is the additional element here?
The process there is the phytoremediation, which is carried out by the plant, so that the phytoremediation allows the plant to absorb high levels of whichever substance you want it to absorb. So you might have to genetically modify a plant to absorb a certain mineral or vitamin.
It's the nectar then. That's the genetically modified product then.
So the plants are engineered to release a signal to let the bees know that they have the nutrient that the bees have been trained to find.
Yeah, from the smell of the...
All the nutrient itself, they can be modified to produce that nutrient in excess
Yeah. Okay. Now, with turnover of the bees in the hive, even if you were to train an entire hive, how many times are you going to have to do that? How many cycles of bee training would one have to do a year?
We're hoping that through our research we can see if bees can learn from one another, because at the moment when a bee goes out to find food, they can't point to for another bee, like show them the direction they found the food. So hopefully we can kind of use that and maybe get the bees to train each other once their first hive is trained.
It's the image of little bees, little water boys. We need to get a trainer bee.
Thank you.
Thank you.